The genre that you're in. Do you feel like it takes people just one time to listen to it to kind of get what your message really is, and it makes them gravitate to it, or what makes people gravitate to what you talk about on your channels and your genre?
Um, I think people gravitate towards it because of the fact that the relatability as far as me as a person and some of the stuff I've done in the past, as far as like just the skateboarding, I talk about being a nerd, some of the stuff like being creative and um, not glorifying like street life. Because, I get a lot of people that aren't necessarily black that watch the show with their kids and it's helped them, kind of guide their young ones in a different direction. And you don't have to, behave a certain way or talk a certain way to have the street cred. Everybody think it's, you hear the guy and they're, you know what I'm saying, man, and you feel me, and all this talk, and it's like you are dumbing yourself down. But that's people, that's their, that's a culture. But to me, it's like I'm not going to dumb myself down to feel like I'm accepted by a particular demographic or group of people. I'm gonna be me. And so I don't get on here and talk about being a tough guy, and I'm not trying to talk like I'm from this hood. This is how I always carried it. People used to think, hey man, you're a square, but we get out, I bust their head, and it is what it is. But I never try to, because I wasn't taught like that at home. My grandmother was very proper. You held a fork a certain way. You talked. You use mannerism. You excuse me. Thank you. Pardon me. I was taught a lot of that, and so that carried over into even my street life. But yeah, man, I just my show. I think like the way I come off, and I don't try to pretend to be something I'm not. And sometimes I see guys, it's like, is that really who you are? Or are you doing that so that these guys feel that you're more acceptable for that crowd? And I see a lot of people doing it. I used to walk the track with guys, smart dudes, man, OG gangsters. I'm talking about gang members, GDs, Crips, Bloods. And these dudes are sharp, man. But and I'm not, and I could be a chameleon, but some people, they're almost feel like they're trapped, so they got to pretend to take on a persona to continue a certain image because that's what people are accustomed to.
Gotcha.
And I've had people ask me like, man, I can't believe, what were you in jail for? Credit cards? I'm like, nah, but like, you don't seem like the type of person, the way you carry yourself, it just, and they're really saying like, God, how'd you how you rehabilitate yourself? Well, I already had good qualities in me. I just somehow those qualities have been suppressed, and I had overlooked them. So my thing is, you don't come out being a bad person. You're not brought up to. You have to be taught certain things. You have to be exposed to certain things. You don't even. I didn't know what race I was. I didn't know about black and white until I was a little kid, first, second grade, moved to Texas, and some kids is jumping me. Like, what
Yeah.
are they jumping me for? I never knew about race, bro. I didn't grow up like that. I never had like, oh man, white people this or this and that. My grandpa grew up in the South, and he never said. He just said, man, work hard. This dude's from Georgia. Joined the military at 17. So the things that were instilled in me, it was like no excuses. It ain't about you're black. It ain't about you're from this neighborhood. He's like, man, bust your ass. He says, man, you're smart. He said, why are you hanging out with these dudes? He said, tell me, like, what are you doing? And I'd be like, what are you talking about? He's like, man, get them dudes from in front of my house.
Yeah, but
You
it's in the, but you got to remember, I always talk about social programming. It was in the music, it was in the sports, it was in the, you remember those rap lyrics that we used to listen to back in the day. You can't help but glorify it because those are the dudes that were put in front of your face, having the money, having the drugs, having the women, and that kind of it shows itself in the society, in the culture, because you follow that, and that's why we were talking about being a young kid. These kids today. They got drill music. They got, you know, I see kids in my neighborhood sometimes with the with the what do you call those things? Those water guns, just hanging out the window, shooting at each other, water guns. You know what I mean? But at that impressionable age, you think that's what makes you cool. You know, so that I'm not. You hear how I talk? I'm not gangster at all. But I used to wear the tall tees. I used to try to act like that. You know, but that really wasn't me. So I get what you mean. You know, so that's kind of to me. I feel like social programming has a lot to do with that. And I think that if you had that mentor to shield you away from those things, or guide you to the football field, or to guide you to the skate park, you know, maybe things might turn out different. But I'm also of the mind frame that I feel like had things not happened the way they happened, because I have so many of those in my past that I wish that hadn't happened, but had it not happened, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So could you agree? Would you agree or disagree with that?
It's definitely a different path, and who knows where that paradox road maybe have led to. But I feel like I couldn't be here today sharing my message, and my message at the end of the day through my art, through my passion, is to show other kids like what can they do, because they might feel like, oh, I'm poor. You can go to Michael's and spend $10 or 15, $20 on art, and you can sell that picture for $5,000, $10,000. You know what I mean? There's things you can do that you have where you could, get some paint and take some old shoes and paint them and put them on eBay. Somebody might, there's all these different things. But I say that to say that, like, exposure, like what you talked about, like you said, the teas. I remember when I was in fire camp when I was 19 years old, and I was doing some time, and I remember there's this kid there, and he was kind of spoiled, black kid, very talented. This dude, he was balling with Jason Kidd basketball. This dude could have been, he was balling, and I mean, we used to go at it playing basketball, and he was really talented, and his dad used to come visit him. This dude's dad reminded me of like Bill Cosby, smart dude. From what I understand, was in a medical supply business. His dad used to send him stuff in there like John Coltrane, the spook that sat behind the door, these books and DuPont Register, Rob Report. I ain't never seen that shit. And a black man who's sending his kid this, like, he was getting so much stuff. And this guy would like get a Walkman and he'd get mad, he'd throw it on his ground, his dad sent him another one. The counselors had to start telling him, like, look, man, stop sending your kid all this stuff. Then when I go to visiting, I meet his dad. He's hella cool. I'm out there with a sponsor, but his dad is like, hey, you come over here and eat with us. His dad, that was the first, I mean, dude, I'd never heard of a black guy owning a Ferrari. This guy had a Ferrari Testarossa back in the 90s when it first came out.
Yep.
This dude was balling, bro. I mean, if I would have had a mentor like that, I mean, his son was in there for something stupid. I can't remember what it was, but something stupid. But yet he had his father who was balling, you know, a prime example of a great role model. Mom, beautiful, brother, pretty girlfriend. But he was just like, he was one of those black kids who was so spoiled and entitled, he just was like, he wanted to be in the streets.
Yeah.
And for me, I always want to get out the streets. I always looking for a way out. I
Mm.
don't want to be there, man. Even when I started selling drugs at 14, 15, I remember our teacher in the ninth grade came to school. I think ninth grade, I think I was in the trigonometry class, and either the algebra 2 or trigonometry. And the teacher had one of those old brick phones with the thing, and he was talking about the stock market. I'm like, damn, what is that? He's like, yeah, you call, you can put a order in. I got a stock. I got to go through this brokerage house. And I'm like, man, that would be cool. But that was only a little exposure. So I was the type of kid, if I would have had the more exposure, like the skate park hookup, or the guy who was over here exposing me to stocks or whatever, I would have left that shit alone, because I knew it wasn't all that. I used to be out those guys selling dope, and I would just look at them. They're drinking 40 ounces, they're slapping domino, they're selling dope. I got a pocket full of dope. My buddy got some dope, and we're out here with these people, and they're double my age, and they're buying drugs from me. It was like, dude, you're like the same age as my mom, and I'm selling you dope.
Yeah.
And so I knew it was wrong, bro. It didn't even feel right.
Mhm.
And so I knew there was something better, but I was trying to figure out how to get there.
Yeah, lost, young, lost. I mean, well, I'm only 42. I still think I'm young. I got a lot to learn. I'm not as lost as I used to be, but kids these days they're lost at that age when they don't have
Yeah.
somebody like that. So I totally understand. But you literally in the very first part of your response, you just summed up the show. I want you to go back and kind of tell me all these moments that led to where you are today. Like right now, I'm looking at your YouTube. I don't have all your social media up. You started with 0 followers, and now you're at 126K followers. That doesn't happen by accident. So, what would you say? Because to me, the reason why I started this show, because there's somebody depressed out there. There's somebody that's looking at the outside world and they don't know what to do next. We all have silent struggles. But what would be your using your journey as the template? Not saying that everybody's journey is like yours, but using your journey as an example, may I say, what would be your message to somebody that's in that kind of mind frame that they don't know what to do next? They don't know what the next move is going to be. They're lost, depressed, just not where they want to be in life. What would be your message for them?
Um, my message to them would be when you close your eyes and you think of what makes you happy, you think of what puts a smile on your face, what warms your heart, whatever that is, try to find something you can do that takes you to that place. Like for me, like when I was a kid, uh, you go to the store and they would have two big things. They'd have their little model cars, the other cars, and then a lot of art stuff. And my mom, because my mom's not much older than me, she had me pretty young, 14. She was still in school, so she pushed a lot of academic stuff on me and art stuff. So I used to get a lot of art stuff. And I remember, laying on the floor with my crowns and my markers and coloring. So I'm really big on colors and coloring. Now, it wasn't until I moved out here to Arizona that I was able to get back into that mind, and because LA was a hustle. Every day in LA it felt like you're going, you're trying to keep up, it's a race, oh man, this guy over here, you call meeting this guy doing this. And in Arizona I do stuff and sometimes I'm like, damn man, I'm at peace, man. This shit is quiet. It's a different vibe. And so, you got to find a place. Even in prison, I used to find, like, go and read or try to find my happy place. I would get a DuPont register and just fantasize, like, oh man, I'm gonna buy that house. Oh man, when you're a kid, you used to look at stuff. I'm gonna get that. Oh man, I'm gonna get this. I do that, and that inspires me. That gives me hope. You got to find hope. If you can't find hope, there's nothing left. You give up, man. That's when you go do stupid shit. When you don't have hope, that's when you man, F it, man. Let's go get it. You do irrational choices. So my thing is find your hope, find your happy place, and just be patient. I go places and I now I just listen. I'm big into cars and going to car shows. I met a lot of people, man, rich people, billionaires, millionaires, and I just listen, man, and try to learn from them. The older heads, man, they got a world of knowledge more than the books, more than I mean, those guys you meet in these places that are super wealthy, and you start talking to them, and the car is just a conduit. It's like a nice watch. And you start hearing their stories, you're like, damn, man. It makes you appreciate stuff, but it also inspires you. So I get inspired. I'm an old soul. I get inspired through older people, people who have things to share. And so I try to put myself around that, and that helps me on my journey. And so I just continue to grow because I'm still learning. I feel like until like I'm in the dirt, man. Life is a journey. There's no such thing as retirement. I'm always going to be drawing or doing something with my wife or just trying to elevate my consciousness. And that's what makes life exciting to me. I can have a bad day, but then I think about, man, when I was in prison and I was walking the track, bro, and I used to fantasize about being on the other side, past the guard with the truck and the gun. And where would I be at, man? Even if I was sitting in traffic, man, what if I was in traffic in LA on the freeway? Or what if I was down by I mean, anything is better than being locked up. So when you do stupid shit and then you wake up in the holding tank like, oh man, dude, you could have. You got a million choices. You think, oh man, you ain't gotta do shit. You ain't gotta do no dumb shit. You don't have to go with this dude. You're not a punk if you don't go and rob this dude. This dude stole from you. If you don't do something, you're soft. Dude, that's bullshit. Let that shit go. Let that shit go. Put yourself, there's a clear distinction, and it's not racial, it's consciousness. People who have a lot of money and success, and you go to certain neighborhoods, no crime, everybody's waving at each other. It's a different vibe. Not to say there aren't people in the hood having it, but there's a lot of shit that comes with it. A lot of them, a lot of dark, the backdoor stabbing stuff, and I don't want that no more. I'm cool. I want to go over here and do it in a different vibration. And you got to find that vibration and embrace it. And then we all have a gift that God's given us, whether it's the gift of gab, the gift of sales, the gift of you have something that you have you have an ATM inside of you, you have a money tree. You just got to figure out how to shake that tree within you and master whatever it is you've been blessed with. We all have something, man. We're not meant to serve people, man, these companies, and that's what they got us programmed for, man. We got to figure out and see. It's like you said, the music, they push this stuff to get you caught up, and then by the time you get caught up, it's too late. You up in there with all these other dudes, you realize like, man, I got caught up because you bought into the noise.
Yeah, the
Until you
programming.
can turn off that noise, man.
Yeah.
That noise, like you said, hip hop, man, before it got all gangster, it used to be it used to be dancing, having a good time. You had the little cool necklace, the cool haircuts. But
Yeah.
those guys became soft. He funny style, he a nerd, he a square. So that dude got kicked to the curb, and then it's the dude with the jewelry on, the dude with the gun, and the dude sagging. Those dudes weren't the dudes back in the day.
Mhm.
Eric B. and Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, Special Ed, Tribe Called Quest. They were just having fun.
Yep.
Nobody was getting shot. It wasn't about killing. You didn't have to kill nobody to be anybody. That's
I don't think the word, I don't think the N word was a word back then like that, amongst us. You know what I mean? I don't think
no,
they use that
no.
word like
It
that.
wasn't. It wasn't in none of. They didn't back in the day. MTV didn't even allow you to put a video that showed gang signs or gang colors. Then when they seen that what it could do, oh man, they pushed the hell out of that shit along with crack cocaine.
Yeah, exactly. So you gotta be aware of what your body's consuming. And when I'm talking about consuming through your nose, through your mouth, through your eyes, through your ears, you're consuming things, and it's shaping you to be the type of person that it's hard to fight. It's very, very hard to fight pop culture. You know what I mean? So that's good nuggets. Are you an uncle?
What's that?
Are you an uncle?
Yeah. I got some nieces.
No, you ain't got no nephews though.
No, my sister got four daughters. No,
Damn, that's a shame because
none.
when I
Yeah.
look at you, I look, man, you need a nephew just to
You know
put
what?
it. Come here,
I
boy.
get a lot of these youngsters though, man. They're like big. They call me Unc. Unc, man, what's up, man?
Yep.
So on YouTube and social media, I get these youngsters, man, that watch and stuff, and they say, I don't have any kids, but they're like, you got a lot of kids, man. You helped a lot of us, so that's my blessing back. Is trying to give game, man. Because I hate, what's the most depressing thing? When a new bus used to pull up in prison, and dudes are like, "Hey, man, who's is the homie? Oh, what's up?" And I'm
Mm,
like,
damn.
"Ooh, you happy to see somebody else you know?
Yeah.
How bad is that? Man, we're in the worst place on earth, and your homeboy, you guys are like reunion up in here.
Yeah.
I didn't know, I didn't meet anybody in prison I knew from the street. None of my people I grew up around was in any of the facilities I was at the same time. And so I always look like, damn, you know what I'm saying? How the F did I get here? But these guys, most of them, oh man, and it's like, dude, that is sad shit, man. When you're basing your foundation off of the homies coming in here to hang out with you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a shame, but it goes back to what you say. It's normalized to them. It's, it's a home. It's a party. Oh, hey man, they haven't awakened to see what it's like to be out. Not like I said, I don't talk bad about anybody. I know everybody has their own experience. I don't judge anybody. You are who you are. I am who I am. But at the same time, I had the chance to make my choices just like you had the chance to make your choices. So if you choose to glorify that, more power to you. It's sad to me, but
Yeah.
I totally understand. But you nailed it, man. Thank you so much for sharing your journey. Like I told you, the moments in your life led you from zero followers to 126K to 95K over here, but it didn't come overnight.
No,
It came, you built from the bottom, and I'm not even saying it's the top yet because it ain't over. You're still going, you know what I mean? But I just want people to understand that no matter what circumstance you're in, like I said before, behind every success story is a journey.
that's
And
right.
behind every journey, there's a moment. And you got to take that moment. That's what this means right here. Your moment is now. You got to take that moment, realize what's inside of yourself, and start cashing in on that ATM, just like you said, because everybody has a gift.
That's
So
right.
before we leave, I want to do a couple of word associations with you, if that's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. In 30 seconds or less, these are four traits that I feel like help people succeed at whatever they try to do. So, what does it mean to be a risk taker?
Um, Believing in yourself.
Okay. What does it mean to cherish the small victories?
It's an accomplishment. Nonetheless, whether it's a big one or small one, it's an accomplishment. Step closer.
Okay. What does it mean to begin with the end in mind?
Is to see completion. You start something, be prepared to finish. Don't be a quitter. There's no participation trophies. You gotta fulfill the journey.
And the last one, productive struggle.
Nothing comes easy, man. I mean, we're in a generation right now where you see people, and I can guarantee you, most of the people you see are lying. That's not their life. That's not how they're really living. And anybody that's really successful will tell you like what they went through and how it takes years to build. But just know this: that as long as you're building, you're winning, and you know, don't fall prey to the quick hustles, man, because a lot of those they don't last, and those people they're just conning you. So the long game, man, is what you're going to win at, and don't feel bad and compare yourself to other people. Only compare yourself to yourself.
And that goes into my last one. Comparison kills joy.
Yeah, yeah, it's depressing. I heard somebody say the other day they had to just turn off social media because you start looking at other people and where you're at and what they have, and it crushes your dreams. And those that reality is not your reality, so you can't let that impact who you are as a person. And that's what's hurting a lot of, I think, young people.
Gotcha, gotcha. All right. Well, could you to finish off, could you tell everybody where to find you, some of your different channels, and that way I'll flash it at the bottom whenever I put this all together, so everybody have a visual of it. But just let us know where to find you.
So on YouTube, you got Fresh Out YouTube, you got Big Herc 916 YouTube, you got Muscle Up Car Lifestyle YouTube, and then on IG, you have Fresh Out Series, you have Big Herc 916, Muscle Up, and on TikTok, Big Herc 916 and Fresh Out Series on TikTok.
Okay, well, I appreciate you taking time. We said it was going to be 30 minutes. We done chopped it up for about an hour and 10 minutes now, but thank you for your time. I appreciate you. And for all my listeners, man, always remember that no matter where you are in life, no matter what you want to do and you want to accomplish, your moment is now. Take that moment and thrive.